Hello, I am here to talk to you about the books that I have read this week. I read Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough, and this is the one that I was telling you about where a woman has insomnia and she has a mom that had something happen to her on her 40th birthday, and her mom put it into her head that it's genetic and that this is going to happen to her on her 40th birthday. And her 40th birthday is coming up, and everything starts falling apart in her life. It's a slow burn book, kind of. To me, it felt fast paced, but I think most people would say that it's slow burn, if that makes sense. If you like The Girl on the Train, I think you'd like this book. Not only is it a slow burn book, but it's an unreliable narrator, and I think it's fun to read books like that and try to piece together what's going on. It really took me quite a while to figure out what was going on. I just didn't see it. And then when I thought I saw it, I questioned myself and thought, I must be wrong. It must be something else. It really highlights anxiety and what it feels like to have anxiety. It's just such a good take on it. And it really goes into what it might be like to have a parent that you don't want to be like. And then add another layer to it, to have a parent that you don't want to be like and to not want to be the kind of parent that you had. So the protagonist has this constant fear of becoming like her mother and being the kind of mother that she had and not wanting to be that kind of mother and worrying how she may or may not be affecting her kids. It's also about what it's like to have a spouse that isn't on your team. If you've been there, you know how much that sucks. I'm not talking about Brad, but I've been married 2 other times. It was just so fun trying to figure out what was going on, who to trust, who to believe, who was being genuine. And I really liked the twist. The twist I felt was quite original. I did notice going in that there was a lot of people that didn't like this book. And I think it was because of the twist. I think the twist lost some people. Or maybe they don't like unreliable narrators or slow burn books. I'm not sure. I really loved it so much. I give this book 5 stars. I also read Christmas Cupcake Murder by Joanne Fluke. And my friend Kristen at Enter the Book, this is so weird. I don't know if it's weird, but it's fascinating. She got this book at a library sale. And I think it was the same week. I got this book at my library's store. And so she suggested, oh my gosh, that's crazy. We both got the same book. Why don't we buddy read it? So we did. And we had a really good time buddy reading this book together. This book was all over the place. It was kind of a wild ride. It didn't really have a lot of spine to it, if that makes sense. There's not a real good objective to it. It didn't really make sense where the storyline was going. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but I will say this was not the kind of book that has a murder that happens in the first few chapters and then the protagonist spends the rest of the book trying to figure out who did it for one reason or another. And this book, the whole time I was reading it, I kept thinking, where's the murder? And why is murder in the title? I never quite figured out why murder is in the title. I would think that would be the major plot point of the book, is a murder, but no. There's a lot of recipes in here. Hannah, the main character, is a quirky gal who is single, and she's got a mom who really wants to marry her off. Her mom is just dying to get the last of her 3 daughters to get married, and she's dating a few different guys. The storyline's all over the place. I would say the storyline isn't very good, but the writing itself, while not very organized, was very fun. I did laugh out loud a few times, it did get me in the holiday spirit. It got me wanting to cook and bake. And I did really enjoy it, even though I didn't think the story was the best. So I give this book 3 stars. I almost gave it 2 because the storyline and the outline and everything was just so awful. But I enjoyed it, though. I really had fun with it. And it got me wanting to cook. Oh, and I discovered the best recipe ever reading this book. There's a scene where someone is describing a breakfast that they had. There's not a recipe for it in here, but I decided to try to make something similar. So what I've been doing is making half of a sourdough English muffin, putting 2 eggs on the top that are over easy, of a piece of sausage, breakfast sausage, and very thinly sliced bell peppers with pepper jack cheese melted over the top. And it is so good. And then for whatever reason, I put half of a banana on each of our plates when I made it. And the banana is very complimentary to the meal. It just tastes so good, though. I really love it. And so does Brad. We look forward to it every day now. We've been having it every day this week for breakfast. It was also very cheesy in a Hallmark kind of way, where somebody would say, I've got leaves all over my yard. And somebody else would say, that's okay. I've got a rake right here in the back of my truck, and it was nice that people were going so out of their way to help each other in this town, but it seems so far-fetched because I don't think people are that helpful in real life, especially not every single person around you, every neighbor, every person at the grocery store, just everybody. And that was kind of the experience of the book. Anyway, if you're looking for something lighthearted and fun and kind of weird to get you in the holiday spirit, I recommend this. It is on SCRIBD right now, I know for sure, because I listened to it while I read it, kind of rotating between reading and listening. Hi, Olive. And I thought I'd let you know that in case you want to give it a listen. Hi, puppy. Hi. Come on, sit down. Sit down. She's so happy today. Oh, she just made an appearance. She's not going to be in the video, I guess. Christmas Night by Carin Rafferty. I mentioned that I have read this probably 20 times, and I was going to read it this year for the first time in years. I got, I don't know, about 80 pages in and just decided I didn't want to keep going. It was so boring. And I don't know if I've just grown as a reader or if I'm just not in the mood for this book or what, but it just felt super, I don't know, unrealistic and fake. And it felt very slow to me, but not in a good way. And maybe it's because I already know what's going to happen too. I've read it so many times that I'm not going to forget what happens. It just didn't work for me this time. So I'm going to put it down. You never know. Maybe in a few years I can pick it back up and actually read it all the way through and enjoy it. But I just couldn't get into it this year. Then I read I Know You. I listened to it. This book was kind of a trip. And I figured out what was going on pretty early on, but then I kept doubting myself. I do that a lot. But it was a real easy read. It was very quick to read. I enjoyed it. It's about a pregnant woman in a new town. She's living in London, and she's actually an American, and she's just really kind of doubting herself, and there's these weird things happening, and she starts doubting her husband, and that's all I'm going to say. But I recommend it if you like B.A. Paris books. That'd be a good comparison. B.A. Paris books, or maybe Sherry Lapina. I give it 4 stars. Why are you so distant from the camera lately? You don't want to say hi? Oh, hi. Okay, now you're going to say hi. Okay. Whoop. And I also wanted to let you know I'm about to start Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I'm starting this tonight. Have you read this book? Do you want to read this book? I'm trying to remember what this is about. I think it's about a woman who gets married and questions things about her husband, and it's a thriller. I love just picking up books and reading them without knowing what they're about. Also, I'm currently listening to a book called, is it Cabin by the Lake? I'm so terrible. I can't remember stuff like that. I'll put a picture up here. But I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking it's really good. Really good so far. It's another one. I don't really want to ruin anything for you, but it starts out with this woman who's in a cabin, and she's on the run. She's trying to escape. She is being sought after, and we don't know why. And as the book goes on, she's trying to survive living in this cabin with no running water and no electricity, and trying to survive without being caught or discovered while having her face plastered across newspapers. And it's kind of hard to stop listening to, because I want to know what happened. Why is she there? Once I've figured out why she's there and why she's on the run, I'm wanting her to figure out a way to escape this insanity. And it's just really fascinating. It kind of goes into, I guess, well, some of the thoughts I've been having while listening to it are, one, not everybody should be a parent. I think we live in this society that has, speaking of Hallmark again, kind of a Hallmark view on parenting and being a parent and what parents are. And the truth is, there's a lot of parents that aren't good parents. But we like to act like all parents are really good, loving, wonderful parents. And this poor girl has got two parents that are really strung out on drugs and don't even have food in the fridge and forget to pay the electric bill a lot and really just abuse her in a lot of ways, and her sister, and don't take care of them at all. And to me, those are people that probably shouldn't have had kids, right? There is no love there. There's nothing really, that she didn't really get anything positive from her parents or from her childhood. And then it also highlights how much certain people in power can control things and people, and how corrupt our society is in some ways, and how disgusting it is. And boy, I don't know, I haven't finished it yet, but it is really good too. I'm enjoying all these wonderful books. Hello, I am back. I wanted to finish my December book review / wrap up. If you see a tail next to me, that's Zelda, and Marty is laying just behind where you are sitting. Next, I read The Bodyguard by Katherine Center. This is a romance novel, and I thought it was really good. I don't typically read romance, but around this time of year, I'm a little bit more prone to wanting to read them. Hi, Zelda. What you doing? Oh, bless you. This book is about a woman who is a bodyguard, and she is dating another bodyguard. And they're bodyguards for rich people and famous people, right? And she is dating another bodyguard, and he dumps her right after her mom passes away. So she gets a job to go be a bodyguard for a male actor. And he's kind of like a um, Chris Hemsworth kind of actor or something. He's one of the sexiest men alive, according to People magazine, and that kind of stuff. And so she ends up protecting him, and a love story ensues. I thought this book was really good. It was funny. I don't even know how many times I laughed. And I just thought it was a good, wholesome time. There were no steamy sex scenes. I was able to leave everything to my imagination, which I prefer. Because, let's face it, I think that we're all so different in what we do and don't find sexy. Steamy scenes tend to really be hit or miss for me. And I prefer a book like this where they don't have them in it. I thought the love story itself was healthy. I thought it was definitely worth reading. I think, especially for someone like me who really doesn't care for a lot of the romance novels. If I like it, you might too, if you're not a big romance fan. So I guess that's what I would say. I recommend it for people that aren't really into romance books. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I decided to turn the camera a little bit so you can see Zelda in her cuteness. Then I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This one is about a girl. I don't think it was ever revealed what her name is. They just called her Mrs. De Winter, which I think really goes to hint at how much of an identity she does not have, how much her identity is wrapped around now being married. She marries this man named Maxim, who is very rich and owns this estate called Manderley. And she knows that he's a widower, and when she gets to this estate, she starts really feeling like she's supposed to be Rebecca, the lady, the first wife that passed away. And she just feels like she can't add up. She doesn't have that same cultural debutante kind of training. She didn't come from money. She doesn't really care about fashion or having extravagant parties. And she really starts wondering why Maxim married her. She starts wondering why, what he sees in her. And it becomes a thriller because she's trying so hard to be this dead woman that she's never met. And a lot of other things start happening. I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't read it. Throughout most of the book, I kept wondering why no one was considering her feelings, why no one might think that maybe she needs a little bit of reassurance, a little bit of, I'm glad you're here, or, you know what, I like you more than I did, Rebecca, or something. But throughout the book, she keeps hearing that Rebecca is preferred to her. I found the book to be a little bit slow, maybe the first third of the book, and then it really started picking up for me, and then I couldn't put it down. And then this book gave me insomnia, which you know I'm a fan of. That's why my channel is called Books Cause Insomnia, right? The writing was so beautiful, so eloquent. This book really highlighted for me as well how much we can fool ourselves into thinking we're happy and into telling other people we're happy. It was so staggering and daunting, and I really enjoyed the personal growth that the lady with no name goes through in this book. The only thing I didn't really care for was the ending. I felt like the ending was really abrupt. I'm not really sure. I just wanted to be a little bit more gently rocked into the end of the book, or maybe what happened after the end of the book or something. So I give it 4.5 stars. I'll just round it up to 5, but I genuinely loved this book. This is a book that I'm going to put in my book journal to be reread at some point. Then I listened to Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka. This book was also really good. I'm glad I decided to wait until I was done with all of my books of December to decide my favorite books of the year, because I was reading so many good books in December, so many 4 and 5-star books. Same with November. In this book, we have a man who is on death row and he's going to be executed. And it goes into his point of view, the detective who led to his arrests, her point of view. It goes into the victim's point of view, the wife that he had, her point of view. It goes into his mom and what she went through and what led to, I guess you would say, him being like he is. In my mind, this book really did a good job of letting the reader decide what they want to decide about what they think about the death penalty and whether it should or shouldn't be around. I didn't feel like it was leading me one way or the other on it. It just felt like it was letting me know where everyone is coming from in a way that was nicely written and not too in my face. It really covered all the bases of things I have thought about when I've tried to decide where I stand on the death penalty. And it also highlighted some things that I haven't thought about. I will say it hasn't changed my mind about what I think about the death penalty, though. But I still thought it was so thought-provoking and such a good read. There were times where I felt like it dragged on a little bit, but it was such a good book. And I think anyone who likes a good thriller or murder mystery, or anyone who's interested in delving a little bit deeper into the death penalty and what they think about it, I recommend this book for anyone that falls into those categories. I give this one 5 stars as well. One of the big things that makes a book a 5-star read for me is there's not anything too big in my mind that I would want to change about it, but also if it's a book I think I'm going to be thinking about later, if it's a book that I think I'm going to be recommending to people, telling people, oh, you haven't read that, you have to read this. And this is definitely one of those books. What? If you could see her face right now. She's looking at me like, what? I like to listen to a book and physically read a book simultaneously. I'm usually always reading 2 books or more at a time. I just started 2 books this morning. I have no idea what I think of them yet. I'm not even 20 pages into either one of them. But my physical book is Inside of a Dog, What Dogs See, Smell, and Know by Alexandra Horowitz. Our dog Olive has really changed our lives, and we love her so much, and we can't imagine life without her. We have put her into training because she is not socialized. She really hates other dogs. She gets pretty violent when other dogs are around. And we don't want her to have that experience. We want her to be able to, even if she never likes dogs, we want her to at least be able to walk past them without having a meltdown. Because of that, the vet made it pretty clear, especially after she had stayed with her when we were out of town, that she needs a trainer that's going to come to our house. She doesn't want her to be around any other dogs in the beginning of her training. We've had 1 training session. It went really good. The trainer said that she is a really good dog and that she has the potential to be a service dog if we wanted to train her to be one. One thing that the trainer said was that she is what she's calling a pandemic puppy. Dogs that were born during the pandemic are having a much harder time with socialization than other dogs do. And it makes sense when I think about it, but it wasn't something we really realized or thought of when we adopted her. Not that we wouldn't have adopted her if we knew that she was going to have such an issue with other dogs, but this book looks like it's pretty good. The only thing I really know about it is what it says on the back, but it's just interesting. It looks like it's a book about understanding dogs and who they are a little bit more. And for my audiobook, I chose Someday Maybe by Onyi Nwabineli. This was a book of the month club that I chose for November, and I've been really excited to read it. I mean, first off, though, look at that beautiful cover. Ah, I love it. Green is my favorite color, and I just love the combination of the green and the gold. So pretty. This book is about grief, and I'm just going to read you a real quick part of it here. Here are 3 things you should know about my husband. 1, he was the great love of my life, despite his penchant for going incommunicado. 2, he was, as far as I and everyone else could tell, perfectly happy, which is significant because 3, on New Year's Eve, he killed himself. And here's one thing you should know about me. 1, I found him. Bonus fact, no, I am not okay. I get chills thinking about that. What it would be like to have the love of your life kill themselves. How upsetting isn't a strong enough word, but how devastating that would be. And the reviews I've seen on this are really good, and I just can't wait to read it. It sounds like this is going to be one of those books that I'm going to really cherish, or I hope it is. I will be coming out with my best books of 2022 video very soon, and I would love to know what you read in December, if you read anything, and if you did, what did you like? What did you not like? Also, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys so much for your reaction to my last video. I've been really touched by the reaction that so many of you have had to that video, and I was just being honest with you about something that I went through and what I think it means, but you guys have been very loving and understanding, and you've responded to my not knowing about if I should continue the channel or not with so much grace, and I'm not planning on shutting it down anytime soon. I hope none of you thought that. I was just sharing what I think caused my being tempted to shut it down, and I wanted to just be really transparent about the feelings that I have been having, especially if any of you noticed that I wasn't as excited about reading over the summer. But it does feel so good to feel passionate and excited about books again. And it feels like, because I'm not trying so hard to read so many books or to read certain books, I'm actually reading more and enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching. I will let you know what I thought of these 2 books and whatever else I end up reading in the next week or 2, and my first book review video of January. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.